protests by several ethnic and religious minorities. Pakistan Prime Minister was left red-faced during his speech in Washington, D.C. as activists from Balochistan protested against him. A group of Baloch youths raised slogans against Pakistan and in favor of an independent Balochistan. The Baloch groups on Saturday also started a mobile billboard campaign in Washington, D.C., urging the U.S. president to help end enforced disappearances in Pakistan. And the protesters also staged protests and put up banners highlighting atrocities in Balochistan at several key locations in the capital. The Muhajirs based in the U.S. gathered outside the U.S. Supreme Court to protest against Khan's maiden U.S. visit. Muhajirs are Urdu-speaking people who migrated from India during partition. The demonstrations brought together a range of campaigners who have travelled from all over the U.S. to protest against the human rights violations by the Pakistani security forces. More such protests have been planned in front of the White House and Capitol Hill Arena by these groups over the next 2 days. The European Parliament lawmakers have also sent a letter to the U.S. President asking him to intervene in the deteriorating situation in Balochistan. The letter was signed by 16 EU members of Parliament during the European Parliament plenary session last week in France. Now, the leaders put forth the dire situation of the Baloch people, saying for decades the Baloch people have struggled to protect their resources and way of life and have fought hard for their political freedom. The lawmakers also urged that the people of Baloch region should not be designated as terrorists. Now let's turn our attention over to Hong Kong, where the peaceful protests against the controversial extradition bill have taken an ugly turn, with violence erupting between the police and the protesters. China's central government's liaison office was the flashpoint this time around. As you can see on your screens, protesters were seen spray painting surveillance cameras and blackening the emblem of the Chinese government on the front of the building. The crowd did not stop there. They also threw eggs at the building, which is a symbol of Chinese clout in Hong Kong. The office released a statement where it said the attack eroded the very root of one country, two systems. The violence was triggered because of the incidents earlier in the day when the riot police attacked the protesters. The police fired at the protesters with rubber pellets and tear gas in an effort to disperse them, but the protesters stood their ground and retaliated by throwing bricks, poles and even umbrellas. Hundreds of riot police had descended upon the streets of Hong Kong to control what is the 7th week of protests. The police had designated the Wong Chai district as the endpoint of these protests, but the crowd marched further, occupying shops and offices along the way. The fresh protests have one major goal, and that is the complete withdrawal of the extradition bill, which aims to permit taking convicts from Hong Kong to mainland China for trials. There's also an underlying anger among the protesters against Chinese influence in Hong Kong and a disdain towards Beijing's leaders.